onefootflipper.
So I just been hoping to pick up some Wendy's this morning because they've been having this special where their breakfast sandwiches are 99 cents, and they're the full-sized ones. You know, the ones that are normal $4.50. But alas, that is over now. So I'm making my own. I'm making sausage egg muffins with cheese. Apparently it's organic cheese because for some reason my wife bought organic cheese. Not sure why. Probably because it costs more. All right. So I opted not to make hash brown patties this morning. Normally, if I'm going to make this sort of breakfast, I make those. I get the ones that look like the McDonald's ones. Most grocery stores don't carry those, but Aldi has them. Anyway, cook those in the air fryer, but didn't make those because it's already 10 o'clock. It's kind of late for breakfast. Don't need the extra calories, so just making the sandwiches. So anybody know, why are English muffins so expensive now? They've always been kind of expensive for what you get, but I really don't understand it. It used to actually be cheaper to buy like a sausage English muffin cheese thing at McDonald's than it was to make it at home. Now it's about even if you put your own egg on the thing. Because McDonald's breakfast pricing is really weird. It's like the egg is the most expensive thing in the world. The sandwich is like $1.25. If it doesn't have an egg on it, then you put an egg on it and it goes to $4.50. Because that's the line they've... Oh, it used to be weirder, by the way. You used to be able to buy a muffin with an egg on it and a muffin with a sausage on it. Both for cheaper than a muffin that had an egg and a sausage on it. Because that makes a lot of sense. But all of McDonald's pricing is about combining the same few ingredients in different ways and selling them at vastly different price points. Okay, a nice unhealthy breakfast for 3. See you in a bit. Well, the last couple of weeks of August have been some of my worst weeks ever, as were the first few days of September. It has finally turned around. Yesterday I had a $429 day on eBay. I had another $100 in sales amongst the other various sites because, you know, I am cross-listing now using crosslist.com software. Link is down below. One new thing, I'm started cross-listing static to whatnot. Had a sale my very first day, a hat for $15. So I'm going to be adding that in there too, even if I don't do any listings on whatnot. Said it was hiding some of my listings until I scheduled my first show. So I scheduled a show for a month from now, and it stopped hiding them. I don't know if I can keep pushing that back forever, but might as well try, right? In other news, I was working on trying to make room, empty out, and get rid of everything, and I am so super close. There's almost no... Okay, despite the fact that this looks like a bunch of detritus here, there's really almost no junk left upstairs. There's very little left in the van. Those 5 bowling balls and a couple other things. And downstairs, it's basically limited to one shelf of items that never got listed and a huge double-sized tub of stuff underneath my desk. So I'm going to burn through that, hopefully this week, and deal with it and try to really be ready for Q4. So in continuing to try to make different kind of videos to show you guys different parts of reselling, I'm going to do, sometime in the next month and a half, I'm going to do a solid week of live selling on Knickknacks. That's the Crazy Lamp Lady's website. Think about it, I'm going to sell all glass. I don't like glass. It's definitely a woman-dominated marketplace, but I'm going to do it as a man anyway. Just going to see what happens, see how much I like it. I would have already started that, but there was a little bit of drama going on related to Dibdit and them not wanting people who sell on Dibdit to sell any place else, and then they changed it a little bit, and I didn't really want to mess with that, so I held back on it until I got clarification. Clarification is, no, I will not ruin my Dibdit status by selling on Knickknacks, as long as I am not advertising one market on their other market. I still don't really understand that whole thing. I don't know who was doing what, and honestly, I don't really care all that much anyway. Any of you care about that? If If you do, post it in the comments. Okay, another thing I've been tracking on this channel lately, because I want to do more for you than just reselling, is I've been tracking my family's net worth. When we started this channel, or maybe a little bit before, no, when we started this channel, our family's net worth was pretty close to zero. I mean, maybe it was $40,000 between cars and equity on the house. But right now it stands at $341,590. $200,000 of which is one paid off house and 5 older paid off used cars. And the other is $141,590 in cash and accounts. And that amount has gone up $8,269 since August 1st. And that's just account money. I don't update the house or the cars really more than once a year in their value, because the Zillow's estimate on the house moves around too much. You know, when that can move $5,000 up or down randomly every month, it's not, you know, a great thing to be putting into my stats long term. So I'm just keeping that same value there. How is that going up so much? It's because when our income went up, we didn't change our lifestyle. We're not wasting any money buying fancy new cars or having 70,000 subscriptions to anything other than, well, apparently we're subscribed to almost every video streaming service. That's my wife, not me. Still cheaper than the big cable packages used to be, though. But when you've got $140,000 working for you, making money all the time, and you're continually chunking in thousands more every month, it really adds up. And I've finally figured out how to possibly buy that next house earlier, because I was worried how to do it tax-wise. I was like, oh, if I wait until I can take money out of the retirement accounts, that's going to have a huge income year. And I just realized I can just start another brokerage account right now and put money into that every month. And as long as I take it out over a period of 2 years, I won't owe any capital gains tax on it whatsoever. So I'll be starting another brokerage account probably next week. All right, let's get to some actual reselling stuff. Hey, let's talk about some eBay changes, shall we? eBay is now leaving automated positive feedback for sellers after a certain amount of time. Who cares, right? It's pretty much meaningless in the long term. It is meaningless in the long term. But if you go to the eBay forum, you can see people who say the sky is falling over this. They want to quit because eBay is going to leave automated feedback for sellers. Some of them say that, oh, that means people will be more likely to leave negative because they don't want an automated feedback to go out. Now, I don't agree with that because I don't think the customer is going to pay any attention to that. Others are saying, it rewards bad sellers. It makes my nearly perfect feedback, or my perfect spotless feedback record for 27 years, less special. I'll be less special. The eBay gods won't smile on me, and the people who are living in my basement won't paint my toes at night anymore. However, the population of the eBay forums, they're kind of a special crowd anyway. They kind of consist of a mix of people who, they'll drop their problem into the eBay forums and never return. Or the ones who are there all the time. It's a mix of continually unhappy sellers who spend more time complaining. You know, like my dog is spending barking because, oh my goodness, there's probably a kitty outside or somebody walking down the street. But these unhappy sellers, they spend more time complaining than they do shipping. And anybody who looks at their store can tell you exactly what's wrong. eBay is not hiding their items or not favoring them. All their items are overpriced. But somehow these sellers know better. And they're in the eBay forums all day long. Then the other group, they view the eBay terms and conditions as a religion. However, when it comes down to it, they'll always favor what the help page says or what the actual terms and conditions say, because they've never read the terms and conditions. They've just read the help pages. I know that because I've gotten in discussions with several of them over standard envelope, what you can and you can't actually ship in a standard envelope. Because the help pages say one thing. The terms and conditions say something completely different. Basically, long story short, terms and conditions doesn't care what in the world you send in that standard envelope, as long as it's listed in the correct category. And since it's impossible to use the standard envelope outside of the correct category, the terms and conditions say it doesn't matter. So if it can make it through the postal system in that standard envelope, then it doesn't matter what you send in it. I like the everything else category for when I'm doing those sort of things. In fact, I saw somebody at eBay forums yesterday. They'll apparently take a flat rate priority box. They'll plaster that with 150 vintage low value stamps. Then they'll wait in line at the post office. So the clerk, and the clerk, who's gotta hate the guy, right? If you're a post office clerk and somebody shows up all the time with packages with hundreds of stamps on them, wouldn't you hate that guy? So the clerk can verify all 150 stamps, count wrong, have to do it over. 20 minutes later, finally put the label on the box before the seller then pulls the next box just like it out of his bag. But the seller explained to me how this is an incredible bargain because he gets those vintage stamps at well under face value. I mean, sure, he burned an hour of time to save $8 on postage, $6 of which he could have saved by simply using Ground Advantage, printing it from eBay instead of retail post office counter, but stamp sellers are a special bunch. None of them have printers. Find a stamp seller who has a printer. You won't. I'm sure 20 of you will now put in the comments that you are a stamp seller and you have a printer. But hey, when it comes down to who cares about other people, what other people think? Care about yourself. Doesn't matter what feedback that anybody else has. It only matters what you have. And in your case, this is a positive all the way. You're going to be getting 2 to 6 times more positive feedback than before. This is going to push you much closer to 100% positive, and it's going to make those negatives scroll off your front screen faster. And who cares if it does the same for everybody else? You're the only one who matters in this picture. Now, speaking of negative feedbacks, earlier this year, I started doing something new. Every time somebody left me a negative feedback, I would Google and find that link, because it is kind of hard to find, to request that eBay removes the negative feedback. And every time I would do my best to explain how the feedback broke one of the rules, even if I was sort of stretching in my explanation. This has been incredibly successful so far. Parker, well, why are you barking? What's all this barking action going on here? Okay, hopefully that will calm down the dog. Because goodness knows, there's a kitty around, everybody needs to know it, right? Ooh, lost my mind. That's been incredibly successful, so I suggest you do the same thing. The other huge change in eBay right now is that sellers outside of America basically can't sell to America at all right now. This is related to the removal of the minimum value for tariffs and the president's insistence that the other country pays the tariff. However, tariffs are an import tax. They're paid by the receiver of the goods. Almost the entire world's postal system has shut down package service to the U.S. because they have no system in place to pay the tariffs because the shipping country has never paid them. Before you come in screaming about politics, I don't care if you voted for an aardvark or which party you support or don't support. This is just about business, and you cannot make your business decisions based on things that are simply not true. Now, there are some workarounds from the other countries using other courier services, but ultimately their sales are going to round down to zero. The American public's just never paid a tariff or an import tax in their entire life, and when that package shows up, either when they see the fee they have to pay up front, they're not going to buy it, or when the package shows up with that hefty tariff due, they're going to refuse the package. And they're going to refuse the package and make a claim, and thus the overseas seller's going to get nothing. Doesn't matter if the seller can get the goods to them. U.S. consumers are not used to that sort of thing, and they're not going to change to be used to it overnight. Now, this means for American sellers, you simply have no effective competition from outside America anymore. This isn't going to be like the COVID boom, because a lot of the outside of America stuff is brand new products, and a lot of us U.S. sellers do not have brand new products. But it's going to be noticeable, and the longer the tariffs last, the better it's going to be for U.S.-based sellers, because at some point, you know, if toasters double in price in the store, which right now they shouldn't, but if they did double in price in the store, eventually more people might start looking at that used toaster rather than a new one. You know who's got used toasters in their store? You probably do. For you sellers who are based outside of the U.S., who sell in the U.S., I guess, I'm sorry for your loss. It's going to be a bad time for a while. Might be a good time to pick up a part-time job. This could go on for years, or it could be over next week. I have no idea on that. Hey, thanks for making it to the end. If you're a seller outside of America, how has it affected your sales so far? Post it in the comments.
One-footflipper.
Hey, now that it's just us and one really barky dog, I want to talk about something that is reselling related, but probably not related to anything we resell, since I don't think most of you resell vehicles. But right now, there's one of the craziest bubbles going on with trucks. The full-size truck buyers who actually need trucks are refusing to buy new trucks. The regular customers are protesting how the American automakers have insanely priced up their trucks in the past few years, and Toyota's even more expensive, so that doesn't help, and nobody else makes trucks. While the diesel customers are more up in arms against something called diesel exhaust fluid. You know, it's supposed to reduce diesel emissions. I'm no expert in it, but I don't really care either. This has caused the prices on older used trucks to skyrocket. The sort of, 25-year-old regular old truck that would have been $2,000, a beater a few years ago, that's suddenly for sale at $10,000 plus. While completely shagged out 350,000-mile diesel trucks that would normally be a candidate for retirement or just, extremely light duty, just going to tow the boats on the weekend and not do anything else anymore, those things are suddenly $25,000. Now, the regular truck guys, they just say they're not paying $65,000 for a new one. Well, Diesel Donnie, he claims that the Cummins engine lasts forever, and he will never buy a truck that uses the exhaust fluid. However, if those trucks did last forever, then why does Diesel Donnie need to replace his current truck in the first place? And why do so few of those trucks with 400 to 500,000 miles ever come up for sale? In any case, temporary situation. Real actual commercial users are simply not going to be bringing 350,000-mile trucks into service like their new vehicles. And Diesel Donnie, he just really wants the diesel so he can roll coal, impress the dudes behind the 7-Eleven, and tow his boat. You can tell this because Donnie also always demands four-wheel drive, always installs a lift kit. Real commercial users, they don't need four-wheel drive for the most part, and a lift kit just makes the truck harder to load and unload. So, and plus you can tell the whole thing is a bubble because the actual real commercial heavy-duty chassis trucks that were twice as much new, the thing one step up from the thing that might be in somebody's driveway, they're now cheaper on the used market than normal trucks are. So if you need yourself in need of a truck and you're willing to buy something with a service bed on it, or something with a slightly wider chassis, one of those cab-over chassis, that's cheaper than a normal truck is. And those are the ones that actually last forever.